It's the Dodgers and Yankees at Dodger Stadium. Jack Flaherty starts for Los Angeles. Garrett Cole gets the nod for the Yankees. He says he knows he'll be challenged.
You obviously know of the talent and know of the prowess of the other team and how they can swing the bat with high efficacy. I think that they are going to get their hits at some point this series. They are good players, and they obviously, have played really well to this point. So I think, similar to the first question, like you just try to control what you can control in that situation. That's preparing like you normally do, and throwing as many convicted pitches as you can.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Shop Macy's lowest prices of the fall today. For the season's best prices on what you need now. Save 40 to 60% on new styles to get you ready for cooler temps. Like cozy coats for your crew, the perfect sweaters for layering, and more fall wardrobe updates. Plus, don't miss amazing specials for you and your home. So good, they won't last. At Macy's.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the propane tank on your grill first before hosting a tailgate.
Let's fire up.
Here, let me try. Seriously? You didn't check the propane?
Who wants chips?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Salt and vinegar?
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Get sports gaming strategies and information 24 hours a day.
7 days a week.
Everything you need to get the winning edge right here.
No wonder the wife says you need to spend more time with the kids.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline. With the two best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, let's not know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Forget act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, SiriusXM Channel 159.
Best hour every day now officially underway. It is a Football Friday right here on the SportsGrid Network, SiriusXM Channel 159. It's Donnie Rightside today, and as always, in just a segment or two, we'll be joined by the big man on campus for a nice jolly walk down the road of games tonight, game Saturday, NFL game Sunday, and away we go. And certainly some of the hottest topics across the sports landscape. If you're watching there with us on SportsGrid on demand on YouTube, jump in the chat box, say hello. If you are listening through SiriusXM Channel 159, SportsGridRadio.com or SportsGrid.com, so many different ways to watch, so many different ways to participate. And as always, you want to reach out on X/Twitter. At Rightside VP. Good stuff going on. Profitable night last night for your boy DRS. And only thing missing last night, really. The fact that we couldn't get Justin Jefferson into the end zone. Oh, it would have hit. It would have hit across the board. But anytime you're picking up profits, that's all we care about. Fold it, move it forward, and have some fun. The World Series, game number 1, taking place down in Los Angeles. Done some videos this week. Obviously, handicapped that game. I think the Yankees are the play tonight. Plus 110, they got to win tonight. Yankees don't win tonight, they're not going to win this World Series. So I do think the Yankees win. I think you're having Garrett Cole in the mound is an advantage to the Yankees versus Jack Flaherty. And I do think that lineup for the Yankees coming in around a 3.5 team total, they should be able to get 4 runs tonight off Flaherty. Hasn't been all that successful in the playoffs. Garrett Cole, much better pedigree pitcher. Pitcher's ballpark out there on the West Coast. He should be fine against that tough Dodgers lineup. But for me, it's going to be the Yankees tonight at a plus price, and also the Yankees team total over 3.5. Now, Bet365 does have a 50% odds boost. I'm trying to cook up what the best scenario for me will be, but once I have that parlay cooked up tonight with the 50% boost, I'll shoot it out to the people. So once again, at Rightside VP, you know how to get down. You know how we're going to make some money. We might talk a little bit of World Series action later, but as we said, it is a Football Friday, and we had football yesterday. National telecast, the boys in the studio for Pro Football Today, in-game live, 30-20 final. The Los Angeles Rams have now won back-to-back games after knocking off the Minnesota Vikings, and conversely, the Minnesota Vikings after opening up the season 5-0, now sit at 5-2. You saw yesterday when we talk about that sharp split and that public split. Maybe the biggest one you're going to see this year. Well, the line opened up as a 3-point favorite towards the Minnesota Vikings. 9 out of every 10 tickets came in on the Vikings. 90% of the money coming in on the Minnesota Vikings. That line dropped. That's what we like to call a false flag, and absolutely should be paid attention to. Congratulations if you backed it. I know the big man on campus is going to join us shortly. I know he had the Rams last night. We were talking about it yesterday. And by the way, the Rams. Like you hear that noise. Is that a rocket ship for the Rams now? Puka Nacua comes out of nowhere yesterday. 7 catches, 106. 15 yards per catch. Man hasn't practiced much. All of a sudden said, I'm ready to go on Thursday Night Football. They activate him before the game, and he turns in that type of performance with 9 targets, and you saw it right off the bat. And how about the real MVP for your boy DRS yesterday, putting us into the profitability bracket? Cooper Kupp. What do you have, 36 or so yards on that final drive? Fantastic. Thank you, Cooper. That put us in a boost there at Bet 365, which was 50 yards for Justin Jefferson, 50 yards for Cooper Kupp. But I was impressed. Kyron Williams, no surprise, 23 carries. Obviously the bell cow back for the Los Angeles Rams, 97 yards. Matthew Stafford did throw 1 bad interception, but come on now. For the aging vet out here, 25 of 34, 279, 4 touchdown passes, a passer rating of 124. Sam Darnold wasn't that bad, by the way. 18 of 25 for 242 touchdowns, no interceptions, and his passer rating was 128.8. But this game looks like it was headed for an absolute moonshot. 60-plus, maybe even 70 points in that game. We had 28 points early on, and then that second part of that second quarter just was an absolute grind to a halt. Nobody could get it going. I think 8 total yards for the Minnesota Vikings in the second quarter. We were even up in the ante, not for a lot of money last night, which was Justin Jefferson to get 200 yards. I mean, his trajectory was crazy. Puka Nacua to get to 150 yards. I believe Justin Jefferson's price for that 200-yard night was 15-1, 13-1, I want to say, because I know I had Puka Nacua at 11-1 to get $1.50. Neither one of those got there, but an impressive performance nonetheless. Where do the Minnesota Vikings go from here? They're a solid football team. They're in a tough division, but the bigger questions now flip over to the Los Angeles Rams. Where do we go, people, with the Rams? Back-to-back victories. They have beaten also the 49ers on the season. The leaders in the clubhouse right now in the NFC West are the Seattle Seahawks, who are 4-3. And it just so happens that the Rams are going to take on the Seattle Seahawks in their next football game. So they get that mini bye built in, if you will. Seahawks 4-3, Cardinals 3-4, Rams 3-4, 49ers 3-4. And through the tiebreakers, the San Francisco 49ers technically sitting in last place. The only team, though, the Seahawks have a plus 16-point differential. San Francisco's got a plus 22. The Cardinals and the Rams are both negative, minus 28 and minus 30. But we talked, yesterday on Moneyline. We talked yesterday on the early line. Is it really up in the air for Cooper Kupp now? Because I felt yesterday was that referendum game for the Los Angeles Rams if they wanted to continue their season with productivity. You lose that game yesterday, you drop to 2-5, you're in last place. Maybe Cooper Kupp does get moved because the feelers were out there from both the general manager of the Los Angeles Rams and other general managers making phone calls that they would trade Kupp for a second-round pick. In order to get that second-round pick, they would pick up a majority of his 2024 salary. But you saw McVay at the podium last night, and I understand it's coaches speak. Good to have Cooper Kupp back, and I don't anticipate him going anywhere. So if you want Cooper Kupp as another franchise, you're certainly going to have to pay up, but I don't see the need for it right now. You're still in playoff striking distance. And quite frankly, with how banged up the 49ers are, how we really don't trust the Cardinals all that much, and are the Seattle Seahawks the end-all, be-all? If you're saying right now probably the best team technically still would be the Seahawks, but why would we give up on the Rams? If their offensive line can hang around, we know Matthew Stafford can be a good quarterback. Case in point last night, threw 34 times, 279 and 4 touchdown passes. We know he can light it up. But my goodness, like a bolt of lightning out of nowhere. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp back. Cooper Kupp working that slot. Puka Nacua looked every bit as athletic as he's always been. Forget about the knee injury that he's just overcame. And then you have Kyron Williams in the backfield. That is a really good offense. Stafford, Williams, Nacua, and Kupp all across the board. And I don't want to say that the Rams, with that victory, guys, turn into a buyer at the trade deadline. But I really think that game last night was on the cusp of, okay, if we lose, we're going to open the vault here and just see who wants who, what some of those price points would be, where we can trade some of these guys to. So now it turns out to, hey, man, we just had absolute lightning last night. That's the way the offense is actually supposed to be. 279, 4 touchdowns, Matthew Stafford, wide open wide receivers, plays downfield, Kyron Williams looking tremendous. I was really impressed by that. And again, the Vikings will get it together. They're a solid ball club, maybe caught most of the NFL or handicappers by storm, opening up 5-0. Theoretically, they have some nice wins on their record. And they were really close to the Detroit Lions, only losing by 2 points. They did get beat by the Rams by double digits. And then you're sliding it down on who they have on deck. You got the Colts on deck at home next up. They should be able to beat that football team. Jaguars are bad. Titans are bad. Bears have a rookie quarterback. Cardinals, Falcons, Bears. You see they're moving forward? They're still going to be a player in the NFC. Do I think they're the best team in the NFC? No, I don't. That's the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions right now, and every time I get free bets on any one of these sports books at this point, it's all being flooded on the Detroit Lions to win the NFC, which they will do as long as they don't get injured. But injuries, always a possibility in the NFL. We are underway. The best hour of your day. Absolutely. It's Donnie Rightside. Jeff Nadeau, the big man on campus, going to join us next right here on Moneyline.
It's a choice.
Roll the dice
or listen to us. Luck is finding a good parking spot. Strategy is getting the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Florida is suing the Justice Department to stop federal authorities from blocking the state's investigation into the second attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. On Wednesday, the state's Republican Attorney General Ashley Moody filed a complaint against Attorney General Merrick Garland after the Justice Department told Florida to temporarily halt its investigation until the federal probe concluded. Governor Ron DeSantis previously said that Florida would pursue state charges against the suspect Ryan Routh, who is already facing federal charges. The number of Americans filing for unemployment benefits fell last week, but the total number of those collecting benefits rose to its highest level in almost 3 years. The Labor Department reported Thursday that applications for jobless claims fell by 15,000 to 227,000 for the week of October 19th. The total number of Americans collecting jobless benefits rose by 28,000 to 1.9 million for the week of October 12th. That's the most since November 13th, 2021. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have a full tank of gas first before road tripping through the desert.
Empty? Seriously? Maybe I can walk.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Maybe I can't.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Here's some brutal truth.
You can listen to SportsGrid for strategies, odds, and more and live the good life. Or you can dig out the change from your sofa cushions.
Ooh, sticky.
We told you it was brutal. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Let's go get him, shots. Hey.
Football Friday, people. You know the drill. On Fridays, we have a guest spot open, and those Fridays, guest spots booked always with the big man on campus, Jeff Nadeau. Jeff, Moneyline Fridays, the thing that we like to do, have some fun and let the people know that we're getting after it in football season. How we feeling today?
Doing great. Thank you for having me as always, Donnie.
I love this because yesterday, like me and Jeff always stay connected, whether it's talking about real life stuff, whether it's handicapping, having fun, talking smack on some other people. We love to do it. But yesterday, Jeff, something we always share and we love. Like I knew when I got the little icon popping up on my phone through Skype, I didn't even have to read the tweet. I knew it was Jeff sending something. I'm like, I know where he's going with this. hit read on it. Oh, really digging the Rams tonight. And it just gets a smile on my face because it's very rare in a football season, and this might have been the biggest one in the NFL, where you have that public money, sharp side lining up so perfectly, you can't avoid it, Jeff. You had 90% of the tickets, 90% of the money, a line that opened up at 3, dropped down to 2.5. Like, this is what we love to watch out for.
Yeah, and it worked out because it was the typical situation. It was a good football team against kind of a floundering team, right? They're at home.
Yeah.
Thursday games are weird. It also helped, like, all these big accounts were on the Vikings. It was just a great spot. I think that's when you kind of can realize you're more than just a novice doing this. When you're able to, on the regular, spot those spots and also bet them and win with them. Like, a lot of gamblers can't do that. Like, they still know, and they know the spot, yet there's still a lot of greedy people that probably bet the Vikings at 2.5 and thought, this is amazing. I'm getting this amazing spot. And we've seen that all before, Donnie. These bookmakers don't work like that, especially off of the last week or two. Bookmakers haven't done real well, so they're going to get it back. I only wish I'd have bet more.
I got to tell you, because the fun things that you look at, too, because the analogy, Jeff, I always use is odds makers don't open their book in the morning and go, let me scribble a couple numbers on a piece of paper. Let me put it in a hat, shake up the hat, and pull it out and be like, hey, 2.5 tonight looks like a perfect number. Those numbers are there for a reason, and you're right. Thursday night football games typically hard for the road team, and it wasn't a close road trip because I equate it to like when the Eagles play the Giants on a Thursday night. Oh, come on, man. 80 miles down, you got a train that doesn't stop. You're right in there. There's no real travel. Minnesota all the way to Los Angeles after you played on a Sunday, that's going to be a problem, and it was. So the Rams woke up, now maybe even a player in the NFC West, so something to look forward to in that aspect of it. But Thursday night football went well for me, went well for Jeff, and then we spin it forward to this weekend. But, Jeff, we got Major League Baseball tonight. We got the World Series game number 1. I'm telling you right now, I know you're a Yankees fan. Yankees win game number 1. How about that?
Yeah, I agree. I have a future on this, as I've told you. The fact that you're getting Garrett Cole as a dog, I mean, that's almost enough for me. That said, I mean, Jack Flaherty's been not just a mess in the postseason, but he's been a mess his whole career in the postseason. For whatever reason, he's just not pitched real well in the postseason. This year, he's got an ERA over 7 in the postseason, a 1.4 whip. So what that's telling me is that he's really close to some disaster innings. A lot of people on base. I agree. I think if you're the Yankees, you've got to win this baseball game tonight. If they don't win tonight, I got some concerns. But you want to always find a way to split in the away stadium. This is their best hope. Getting Cole as a dog is very appealing to me.
It is appealing to me as well. Also, the slate here would be Friday, Saturday. They get the day off Sunday, then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in New York next week. And by the way, the East, it's a shame. I don't know the weather-wise conditions, but the weather's been so good here in the Northeast for like the past 2.5 weeks. It's a shame they couldn't fit some of those in now. We had like those 65-degree nights. Hopefully that weather does hang on for us here. But, Jeff, let's also hit something from last night because I was watching your tweets as well. We were live on the set for Pro Football Today in-game live watching the NFL game. But I did keep an eye on Pittsburgh and Syracuse, and I thought like my watch updates were breaking on me. Because I'm saying like, okay, let me see what happens in this game and just keep an eye on it. Beep, 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 beep. That means a touchdown happened. Oh, look at this. Wait, the quarterback threw an interception for a touchdown. That's interesting. Beep, beep, beep. A couple minutes later, interception for a touchdown again. And he did it again. Like what? Kyle McCord threw 5 interceptions, Jeff, with 3 returned back yesterday as Pittsburgh cruised over Syracuse. Do you have eyes on that game?
Yeah, I watched most of it. In total, Pittsburgh had 217 yards and had 41 points. I mean, it's insane. I don't listen. I won't lie. I had the over in this game. And what was amazing?
What was the closing number, or would you get it at?
I got it 61. It closed 58. It fell on. Now, what's sick, Donnie, is Syracuse was at the 15-yard line with about 2 minutes to go, going in for a late garbage touchdown. Yeah. I'd have pushed the total. Kyle McCord trips on his own feet, 16-yard sack loss. They end up taking a field goal. Kyle McCord was putrid. I mean, look, I don't believe in anything that kids are on takes and that kind of thing, but Kyle McCord was a disaster. I mean, it was hard to watch. Really, really pathetic. I will say, though, Pittsburgh's defense was impressive, man. I mean, they wrap up. They're a really good tackling team. They're a team to keep an eye on. 7-0. They're another group in the ACC to take a look at. They've got a good quarterback. Now, he did go out with a head injury. We'll see what he's looking forward down the road. They have a big game next week, but Syracuse has had some bizarre performances. They lose to Stanford. They get blown out last night. Just the rigors of taking over a program if you're Fran Brown.
Yeah, and also they do have Clemson at home in November. So if they can go on the road and beat SMU and survive that one, that's going to be a monster game in the ACC. Looking forward as there are 4 unbeaten teams in the ACC, Jeff. SMU, Pittsburgh, Miami, and also Clemson. Let's keep rolling with college football here, Jeff, and set the table as we get into the next segment. Yeah, go ahed. Yep, shoot.
I didn't mind the interception returns because I had the over, right? So I didn't really mind it. But
What's
like Syracuse is held scoreless at halftime. The first drive of the second half, they take 9.5 minutes to score a touchdown. And I'm thinking, like, why are you trying to run the ball? You're down 31. Like, go. Yep. What are we doing
Set
here?
it up. Play action pass. It works out well. Yeah, McCord threw 64 times, as we said, 5 interceptions.
You got Dan Mullen talking about, well, you just got to get a touchdown. Doesn't matter how long it takes. And I'm thinking, this is why you're a reporter, not a coach anymore.
Not coaching anymore, brother. Yeah, exactly. The time is of the essence here. By the way, Syracuse came into the game 5-1 and 2-1 in the ACC. They dropped to 5-2, as Jeff said. Pittsburgh is unbeaten on the season. I need some eyes on this game tonight, people. We're going to talk about this after the break. Boise State, UNLV, next.
Get the SportsGrid mobile app. Take us to places where the wife would definitely not approve.
Not counting the bank.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
And it's up to Bob Stanley, and it's up to Mookie Wilson, and the crowd is alive again.
Game 6 of the 1986 World Series, the Mets rally from 2 runs down with 2 outs in the 10th to beat the Red Sox 6-5.
Little roller up along first, behind the bag, it gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Magic tricks like pulling a rabbit out of a hat or sawing a person in half are typically visual. Psychologists at the University of Plymouth think magic is based on how the brain processes visual versus auditory information, so they've started a competition to create magic tricks for the visually impaired based only on sound. This is a shepherd tone. It fools the brain into hearing an endlessly rising pitch, but it's not magic. Their goal, create a new category of magical illusion that you don't have to see. And yes, here's my entry.
I have just made a minute of your life disappear.
Follow me at G Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Sports Rage tonight.
His first start in Major League Baseball, he threw a shutout complete game. You know, he threw 8 consecutive complete games. People go crazy. Oh, Paul Skeens. Oh, Paul Skeens is so amazing. Paul Skeens can't pitch more than 5 innings. Fernando Valenzuela pitched 8 consecutive games, bro. He won the Cy Young and the Rookie of the Year. By the way, he won the World Series.
It's Sports Rage tonight with Gabe Morency. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network. Don't be that guy.
You know the kind.
They're superstitious, carry good luck charms, and have extravagant rituals to win. There's an easier way.
Listen to us. It means carrying 4-leaf clovers everywhere.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
One of the Heisman favorites on display tonight, Jeff. $126. That's how many carries he has. 1,248 yards and 17 touchdowns. That's Ashton Jeanty. Boise State, UNLV, monster game. CBS Sports Network tonight, Jeff. And if we're eyeballing this one, saying, who can win this and what this means into the future? A 3.5-point favorite on the road for Boise State. 83% of the tickets coming in on Boise State tonight. Now, the line did go from 2.5 to 3.5, so it did move in the right direction. But, boy, that's a lot of people just betting Boise State tonight. Any looks tonight between Boise State and UNLV?
Yeah, I like the dog in this game. I think UNLV is the better overall team. When you take away all the hype surrounding Ginty, I mean, this is the matchup, the last real tough matchup for him at this point. I mean, this is a UNLV team, one of the best groups in the country against the run. I think if you're the coach of Boise, Donnie, I would throw the football. This UNLV defense can't really stop anyone at the back, but I think they're going to force running the ball, and I think that could almost be their downfall, weirdly enough. Something tells me UNLV is going to be very prepared for Ginty. But what I do think is if they can figure out throwing the football, they will move the ball. UNLV has been ugly against the pass. On the other side, UNLV is going to run. Fourth nationally in rushing success rate. They're going to put the ball on the ground too. I like the under as well. I got it 66. It's down to 63. So obviously that number's gone. But something told me this was more 31-28, not 38-34. Something tells me these defenses are going to bow their heads in the red zone a couple of times. But yeah, if you're going to give me 3 and a hook with the home team, who I think have the better quarterback and better defense, I'm going to lean on UNLV. This is a huge game. I have UNLV to win the Mountain West. So this is a pretty big game for me. But Ginty's got such a problem here because his rush total, I think, tonight is like 190.5. That's insane. This is his toughest opponent yet. I think you just have to lean under. Look, if he goes for 220 tonight and they win, I think unless he gets injured, it'd be hard-pressed to think that he doesn't not win the Heisman, which I thought was crazy. But, I mean, this schedule the rest of the way, Hawaii, San Diego State, San Jose, Nevada. Or wait, I'm looking at the wrong schedule. But either way, the schedule's not good for him. They play nobody the rest of the way.
Yeah, you're right about that. And also, like, the main quarterbacks, like Cam Ward is having an unbelievable season for Miami. Miami's got a cupcake schedule probably until they get to the ACC championship game as it looks. So, but you're not fighting with like the Milrose of the world. And let's just say an LSU quarterback, or like, I don't think Carson Beck's going to be able to win it for Georgia. A lot of those guys haven't played all that well in big spots and either have a loss. Same thing with Ewers and or Arch Manning. You figure that if one of those kids would have taken the reins on Texas and they ran the table, that would have been tough to knock out.
I think the one guy that I've kind of been talking about for a while now, and he really played well against Ohio State, Dylan Gabriel. Throw in, he's got a couple of big games. They're undefeated. They're the number one team in the country. But here's Boise's schedule the rest of the way, Donnie. San Diego State, Nevada, San Jose, Wyoming, Oregon State. Now, Donnie, Oregon State is the worst team in the country against the run. They're giving up like 6.3 yards a carry.
Yeah.
These teams, I think if he just rolls the ball and plays at 80%, he wins the Heisman. He's got to have a big game tonight. If he does, I mean, you're holding a big ticket. You got to feel pretty good as long as he doesn't get injured.
Taking a look here just at FanDuel, Ginty to score an anytime touchdown tonight, minus 1050. No, not minus 300, minus 300, 400, which you see sometimes. Minus 1050. His rushing prop tonight is listed at 190.5 yards.
Do you just, I mean, let me ask you, do you just say to yourself, okay, I'm going to go no on a touchdown in the thought that either gets injured or they just, you're only going to have so many opportunities with the football, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, UNLV is a good run defense. What's the yes prop or no prop in that?
They don't list the no on FanDuel in that. So some other sites might have that, but I don't have that up. But what would the no? Like the no should be 500 at least, because I know they juice the heck out of either way on both sides. But like, imagine that, Jeff, a no. Like nobody roots for this. It's football. Dinged up on the first drive, or even like, Jeff, you have 62 yards on the first drive and they throw a touchdown pass. You have 44 yards on the second drive, they throw another touchdown pass. The defense intercepts a pass and returns it back for a touchdown. We've seen this play out before. What, like 190 and a touchdown prop? Like if you parlayed that, it doesn't make any sense.
He's had one game this year where he didn't run for a touchdown. That was against Portland State. He only had 11 carries. But, yeah, I mean, you're not exactly – you're betting into something that's not likely. I'll take a shot with the no.
Good stuff all the way around, people. Make sure you keep the dial right here. We're going to talk more college football, Saturday action, of course. That Sunday NFL card. It's Moneyline right here on a Friday.
Attitude is everything.
Don't say I lost today.
Say I gained powerful insight into why I need to pay attention to SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
World Series Game 1 tonight is the Dodgers and Yankees at Dodger Stadium. Jack Flaherty starts for Los Angeles. Garrett Cole gets the nod for the Yankees. He says he knows he'll be challenged.
You obviously know of the talent and know of the prowess of the other team and how they can swing the bat with high efficacy. I think that they are going to get their hits at some point this series. They are good players, and they obviously, have played really well to this point. So I think, similar to the first question, like you just try to control what you can control in that situation. That's preparing like you normally do, and throwing as many convicted pitches as you can.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
October is ending, but I want to keep the fall fun going. So I shopped Kohl's lowest prices of the season. I saved 30% on top active brands like Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour. Then I got my kids some boots for under $22, scored 50% off Food Network baking must-haves, and earned Kohl's Cash. Yeah, it doesn't get better than Kohl's. Select styles. Offers end October 27th. Coupons do not apply to Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Progressive presents good news, bad news, dumb news, and great news. Good news. Your coworker Kyle said bundling home and auto insurance with Progressive could save you money. Bad news. While saying this, Kyle was eating your clearly labeled lunch. Dumb news. Pizza near work costs $7 a slice, and it tastes like drywall covered in ketchup. Great news. You decide to see if you could save money bundling at Progressive.com and enjoy more lunches far away from Kyle. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Right before your very eyes.
The boys of summer are about to become the champions of fall.
MLB playoffs are coming.
And SportsGrid will bring you all the angles, strategies, and info.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Going to be live tomorrow, Jeff. Noon kickoff. That's Notre Dame and Navy. Notre Dame favored by roughly 2 touchdowns. The Naval Academy comes in with the better record than Notre Dame. Notre Dame's got 6 wins, so does Navy, but Notre Dame has a loss. Navy does not. Looking at this game, Riley Leonard, I really like the way he's played since early on in the season. Very good runner. I bet him a couple times, Jeff, the past few weeks to score at least 1 touchdown in a game. He always does that. Is it legitimate that Navy can hang around in this football game for you?
Yeah, you know me, Donnie. Really, ever since I came on the map, I've always been pretty good at identifying military schools. Look, I love these teams, man. I really do. And I love the Naval Academy. But, Donnie, the whole world's on Navy. At the line is going up to 14. I mean, something tells me this is going to be 38-20. That's kind of my thought here. I'll tell you what I did. I played the over. 52 seemed a little low to me. Notre Dame's going to move the ball. I think the Naval Academy, if they have one issue, Navy's defense is not good, right? I think they're 85th and 94th in rush and pass defense. They haven't seen an offense quite this good. And the only good offense they faced was Memphis, gave up 44. I think Navy can move the ball too. Look, are they going to score 35? No. But I think they can get into the 20s. They've actually, Donnie, thrown the ball at a pretty high level this year, 12 yards per pass attempt they complete. So I think they can add to the scoreboard too. But you see the whole world on Navy and the lines moving up on Notre Dame.
Yeah.
A big public dog. You never want to be on public dogs, especially on national TV at noon. I'd be on Notre Dame here, but I like the over. I think that's the best.
I would love if we got it one of those games that comes down to them. We've seen the Naval Academy beat Notre Dame in the past, so maybe they can do it again and spring it, because if we can get somehow Army-Navy unbeaten by the time they play, it would be sensational theater and a lot more pageantry that's already around a game that has a ton, Jeff.
I'll tell you, you're totally right. And I think at any rate, it'll still be a great game. Losing to Notre Dame, who's a top 15 team, no shame in that.
Nope.
We're still going to get a great Army-Navy, but you're right. If it was an undefeated matchup, which if Navy can get by Notre Dame here somehow, and Don, here's what I would do. If you like Navy, just play them on the money line. Like they're either going to, like Notre Dame's either going to win big or lose. Like that's kind of what they do. They don't really play a lot of 31-24 type of games.
surprise him like NIU did earlier in the season. We'll see what happens, but I love that game starts at 12 o'clock right off of the bat. Illinois, Jeff, traveling out to Oregon, another top 20 ranked opponent versus ranked opponent. Oregon favored by 3+ touchdowns in this game. Over under in that game, mid-50s. Any eyes on Oregon and Dylan Gabriel this weekend, or can Illinois stay inside that number?
Yeah, I didn't lay this one yet, but if I had to, I would. I think 21 is a fair number. Illinois is coming off such a huge victory, at least for them, I think internally. They, from what I understand, handpicked Michigan to be that game in that spot, 100-year anniversary. They stormed the field. They played really well. But then you look, they didn't really play that well, right? Michigan just was inept to move the football, kind of gifted them some defensive turnovers.
Yeah,
I think Oregon kind of handles them here. Then you got to go east to west too, which is very difficult. Oregon continuing kind of style pointed up. They've got a good Heisman Trophy candidate in Dylan Gabriel. I would lay the number here.
It's going to be fun. And again, coaches understand, like Dan Lanning, your kid is up there at quarterback playing well. You're number one, man. An extra couple touchdown passes, stay in the game an extra drive longer could go a long way for him winning the Heisman, certainly going up against Ginty, who's going to be playing tonight, certainly trying to run wild. Jeff, in the chat box here, Seek and Destroy TV says, can Vandy cover against Texas? So we'll bring that game up next, 4:15 tomorrow. Number 5, Texas, taking on number 25. So number 25, Vanderbilt. Can you believe it? 5-2 on the season. Texas on the road favorite by roughly 17.5 to 18.5, depending where you're shopping at. Total 51.5. Big bounce back for Texas here, or can Pavia and the boys surprise just they did against Alabama?
I think to pull an upset, it would have been nice if Texas won last week. I would have been a lot more interested in this. The fact that Texas is off a loss, didn't look good doing it, only had 3.5 yards of play, were 2 for 15 on third down, benched their quarterback, had 8 penalties, 4 turnovers. It was just an ugly game, one of those really rough ones you just kind of throw out. I would expect Texas bounce back, but it's hard to do it against Vandy. They play a style that is conducive to hanging in games as a big underdog, throwing the fact that they're at home. They have a ton of confidence. In these kind of games, as I kind of talked about with Navy, I always kind of look at the totals in these games. I feel like if you're going to hang, you're going to have to score. And I trust that the good teams will score. I bet the over when Alabama played Vandy. It flew over. 53 struck me low. I think if you like Vandy, why not just bet the over and not have to worry about can they hang within a number? Look, if this ends, 38, 17, you have an over winner, but you lost on the side. So I always kind of just in tune do that. If you think the team can hang in a game, they have kind of a good offense on the other side, why not just bet the over?
Something's not right with Bama so far, Jeff. You take a look at that Georgia win, then they dropped the game to Vanderbilt, barely squeaked by South Carolina, probably should have lost that game, then go to Rocky Top and lose that football game despite having the lead at the half. They're going to take on Missouri, who also is having some struggles of their own. Any looks between Alabama, bounce back spot? Because keep in mind, Alabama loses one more game, Jeff. It's sayonara on the season.
Yeah, and I'm kind of worried because I have Alabama to make the playoff. I thought it was a great play. It was an even money bet, and now we're kind of at a spot. Here's what I think happens. I think they bury Mizzou. I think Mizzou – look, Nate Noel's out the running back. Brady Cook's not going to play their quarterback. I think one of their top receivers is out as well. This is a spot for Alabama. We need to go in. You need to win 38-0. You need to win 42-10. You need to go out and set an example because Mizzou has had they've not looked good this year, really at any time. A&M did what they had to do. You've got to do what you've got to do here. This is a wounded program. You got to go on the road. This is probably pissed off Alabama team at this point. I would lay the number here.
How about this one, Jeff? Laying with Penn State, roughly a 6.5-point favorite as they travel to Wisconsin. Wisconsin, decent ball club. Penn State, fresh off that victory against USC, 33-30, beat UCLA the game before that. But also on deck after this game, Ohio State at home at Penn State in Happy Valley. Is this a look-ahead game where they might be able to get caught up against Wisconsin, Jeff?
Well, it could be. They're off a bye. Wisconsin is playing really well right now, really ever since they moved on from their offensive coordinator. Locke has looked good. He's been locked in, if we could use a pun. That said, Penn State off a bye is really appetizing here to me. It's under a touchdown. It could be a game that they hang in it for a little bit, Wisconsin. But to me, you're coming off the way they did against USC. They come back home. They get a plenty of extra time to prepare for a Wisconsin team that isn't real complex offensively. I think they do well here. I would lean Penn State. I really like this team. They look good on offense. Drew Aller's kind of settled in. And Donnie, I'll give you guys a little advice.
Yeah.
If you're ever sadly in a criminal indictment, do what James Franklin did recently. Just don't say anything. Let the lawyer handle it.
True. Stay out of it. Don't incriminate yourself, Jeff. No need to talk when you don't need to talk at that point. LSU, Texas A&M, they'll do their talking on the football field, Jeff. Number 8 LSU goes into Kyle Field, College Station, Texas, to take on A&M. Both of these teams unbeaten in the SEC. It's roughly a toss-up, light favorite here, most folks, to Texas A&M, Jeff. They get the victory. Does LSU get the win? Because both of these teams have one loss on the season, but this could be massive in the SEC.
Donnie, I've had a good year betting college football. I'm up on the season, but one team I cannot figure out is LSU. I didn't think this defense is very good. Every time I bet an over, they look like the 85 Bears defensively. So I don't really know how to figure it out. A&M's playing great. Ever since that A&M first game loss against Notre Dame, they've just been running it up, beating teams they should, taking care of business. This is their time to kind of show what they're made of. The quarterback's back, finally healthy, Wagman. I think if he cannot turn the football over, they're going to be right in this game. They've got, to me, the better defense. I think this is where the defensive problems maybe come up for LSU. I like A&M in this game. That's a really tough place to play. I've kind of sworn off LSU games, but if I had to, I'd probably lean on A&M. I really like Mike Elko. I think he's a great coach. That was a great hire. I kind of lean A&M here, getting actually, they're the favorite.
Better than Jimbo, better than Sumlin here. We'll see if he can pick off that victory against LSU. NFL on deck next, people. Don't go anywhere. It's Moneyline on a Friday.
Yeah, it's getting cooler.
Football weather is here.
Stay tuned for all the latest odds, strategies, and info. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Thursday night football, the Rams beat the Vikings 30-20. Minnesota drops to 5-2. They've lost 2 in a row after a 5-0 start, while the Rams improved to 3-4. 4 touchdown passes for Matthew Stafford, 25 of 34, 279 yards. Sam Darnold, 18 of 25 passing with 2 touchdowns, but he was sacked 3 times for a loss of 28. Demarcus Robinson caught 2 touchdown passes for the Rams. Karen Williams and Cooper Kupp had the others. Puka Nacua back in the lineup. He had 106 receiving yards. The Rams have won back-to-back games for the first time this season. Top 25 college football Thursday night. Number 19 Pittsburgh beat Syracuse 41-13. Pittsburgh 7-0 with the win. Syracuse drops to 5-2. Tonight, number 17 Boise State visits UNLV. Both teams 2-0 in the Mountain West.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
So this new dose is, nope, that's not it. The price is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Green? Hi, it's all good. We've got this.
This is not just help from a Walgreens pharmacist.
Oh, new prescriptions. Cool. Let me check to see if these are the lowest cost options covered by your Medicare plan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This is someone supporting you every step of the way. Chat with a pharmacist today to find help saving. This is the human kind of help. Walgreens.
What's better than 1 win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get 1 line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
There once was a dude named Sid. He never won and felt disgusted. He got the winning edge, his friends would allege, all for just listening to SportsGrid. If Sid can do it, so can you. Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
If Sid can do it, so can you. How about that? Yes, listening to the SportsGrid Network can make you a smarter, better. That's why we bring the smart people on with us, like Jeff Nadeau, the big man on campus, always doing big things. If you're not following Jeff Nadeau, make sure you follow him. Jeff, by the way, give you a nice little plug here. What you been doing out here, working the people hear you? I know you come on, they know me through you, but what's going on out there in the streets with you?
Man, just doing my thing, trying to have some fun as always, doing gambling, trying to make people better gamblers, just cutting it down to simple understanding. I don't know anything about EPA per play. I don't I don't look into that stuff. I just talk about what teams are good and what teams are bad. Doing what I can, talking about organized crime, having fun. I also, Donnie, if I can, I just want to say one thing.
Yes.
Amir Abdur-Rahim passed away. A young coach.
I did see that.
Young guy. I believe he's still pretty young. I don't
43.
know.
43.
Yeah, wow, so young. I mean, he was such a great young coach at Kennesaw. Then he went over to South Florida. Really one of the better young coaches in the country. Died unexpectedly yesterday. His brother was a great NBA player. Just a sad, terrible story, and makes you think about, man. Look, as you know, I lost my dad young. I mean, you never really know, man. It's such a sad story, man.
Yeah, and when I was reading the article, Jeff, I don't think it was like a prolonged illness. I think he went in for a procedure and it just went wrong, which is just absolutely wild and certainly shakes the foundation. And so many times you hear about, young coach, he was getting like that 25 wins last year at South Florida. Like, you want to talk about a riser at that point here. It's a shame, and that's certainly devastating for that community. But I did read that article, and it really came out of nowhere at that point. And we are so close to college basketball season. That certainly is going to be tough for those kids down at South Florida to try to rebound and have a great season. So we'll see how it turns out for them. But we do, Jeff, have football this weekend. We do have a couple interesting games across the board. So we'll just start with a couple places and say, you know what? Baltimore, Jeff, one of my favorite teams in the NFL. They got the mojo back. They can run. Lamar Jackson looks fantastic. 5-touchdown performance against Tampa Bay last time we saw them. Cleveland running out Jameis Winston at home. It's an 8.5-point line across the board. Everybody is betting Baltimore. Cleveland steps up with Jameis. Does anything change with Stefanski not calling plays? It goes now to Ken Dorsey and Jameis, who obviously, to be honest, he's probably a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson and certainly DTR, who was in last week. What do we think about that game? Blowout, smoke show, 44.5. Any eyeballs on this one?
Yeah, so I snagged the 9.5 for Cleveland in this game. One of the other games I bet alongside the Rams early here. Look, I've been a little stubborn with the Browns, and they've let me down multiple times now. But they finally, you can really only go one way of up offensively. And there's one thing about Jameis Winston we know. He's an electrifying guy. He does some things that, he still can sling it. I think he's going to be put in good positions as far as you're just getting back to simple stuff again. Nick Chubb is back, isn't he? I believe he's back. I think you still have a pretty good defense there. Plus Baltimore, can you sell on this team any higher? You're also under that 10 number where it's like, wow, Baltimore, all they got to win is by 10 against a bad Cleveland team. And say what you want about Cleveland, Donnie, but I thought they were the right side last week, probably against Cincinnati. They ended up losing by 7, getting 5.5.
Gave up their touchdown kickoff right there.
Yeah, they played well against the Eagles, I thought, overall, Cleveland. I think there's certain things to kind of look forward to. You still have a bunch of season left, and Jameis, I think, can give you much more. Throw in, Donnie, Cleveland's good against the run. They've only allowed 4.4 yards a carry. This is a divisional matchup. It's a game that you're getting at home. I would have loved to have gotten a 10 here, but I think 9.5 is fair. I'll take a 31-24 type of game.
And you look at the odds board right now, ticket number, Jeff, 87% on the Baltimore Ravens. They're the ones that you say, like, nobody wants to take the other side. Then you say, well, why isn't it 17.5? Why is it 8.5? Why isn't it moving? All that money coming in. So should certainly set up that way. Question on this one for you, Jeff. Arizona on the road. Well, they'll fight you, but they're going to take on Miami. Just saw the Adam Schefter tweet here. Cleared for takeoff Tua Tagovailoa for this weekend. So he's going to be back under center. During this weekend practice, Tyreek Hill banged up his foot a little bit. You have a quadricep injury for Jalen Waddle. But that line goes from 3 now up to 4 and 4.5 because Tua is back in. Can you buy Miami right away? Or is this a look-see for you, Jeff, to say, you know what? He's been out of football for quite some time. That team hasn't looked all that good. Is it just you plug and play him and they start scoring 28-plus points a game again?
This is a game I completely skipped over for a couple of reasons. I don't know what we're going to get out of Tua, right?
Yeah.
Obviously it's an upgrade over what you have. But again, he is just literally every play, it could be an injury with him. You're always – it's like, Donnie, when you break your foot for the first time and you don't want to do anything to break it again. I think he's tentative. Tyreek Hill, as you said, is a little hobbled. But then you look at Arizona and, if you can figure out Arizona, I'd love to hear your opinion. They get blown out by the Commanders. Then they beat the Niners, get blown out by the Packers, and then go on and beat the Chargers on Monday night in like a super low scoring game. So I don't know what to figure with this team. If I had to play it, I'd still probably lean Cardinals at this price. They're still a pretty good underdog, and I like Kyler Murray. That said, it's a game I kind of just skipped over. I don't want to bet either side, to be fair.
I always love the intrigue of games like that, too, and also trying to find a number like Atlanta and Tampa Bay. Now, Atlanta's going to be on the road as a favorite, 2.5 points. I don't see any threes out there just yet. Tampa Bay played Monday night, lost that football game, lost Godwin, and lost Mike Evans. So they're reeling right now, total 45.5. How do you approach this? Because I know that the novice handicappers is going to be like, well, hold on. Atlanta just to win the football game. Tampa Bay is down and out. We've seen some interesting things happen when you don't really have game tape on how Tampa is going to handle that situation. But is this a complete no bet for you? Or could there be value still on the Atlanta Falcons going like, yeah, this team is hobbled. Now's the time Atlanta should be able to say, you know what? We can win this division.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of problems. I mean, when Mike Evans went out for like long stretches of that game, Baker Mayfield looked kind of lost.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
you're right.
They put some points on the board, but it was in garbage time. They weren't going to win the game. They don't also have Godwin at this point. Who are you going to throw the ball to? You know, that McMillan kid? Like, you really have – who are you throwing the ball to? Throw in the fact that defensively, I mean, the Bucs looked terrible last week. I would probably go back to the well with the Falcons. I mean, the whole thought is, they can't beat a team twice. It's hard to do. Atlanta's legit. They have a good quarterback. They got a pretty solid defense. I think the Bucs are a little overvalued at this point. Without their two weapons, I'll lean Falcons here.
Eagles, Bengals next. The big man on campus. Who's he got? Find out.
SportsGrid is committed to bringing you sports gaming strategies and information 24/7.
We're not doing this for our health.
This is our job. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. SportsGrid Radio presents Legends of the Fall.
1951, the shot heard around the world. The New York Giants' Bobby Thompson homers off the Dodgers' Ralph Branca to give the Giants the National League pennant. For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and Sirius XM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Carver and Lisi.
If they lose this weekend to Tampa, tell you what, I don't want to hear Matias the rest of the football season. They should smoke Tampa, right?
Falcons better roll that NFC South title. Roll.
I don't want to hear
that division. I don't
want to hear about these dirty birds. They're the best team by default, not because of their play on the field.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, on the SportsGrid Radio Network.
We're here 7 days a week,
giving you the actionable insights and expert perspectives you need to win.
And here's more good news.
It's free. So stay tuned and get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
We're Eagles fans, but we are very unbiased Eagles fans, and I say that a lot because even last week I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going near that Eagles game. Do I think they win? Yes, but no way I'm laying points for the Eagles on the road, Jeff, right? I mean, come on now. We're unbiased.
Yeah, I always kind of tell the truth on this team, and I'll tell the truth with this team this week. I think the Bengals are the play in this game, right? Ooh. They're at home.
Uh-huh.
You look at the Eagles, like, how can you consistently trust them to do things? Like, Do I trust that pass rush to do what they did last week? No. They could, I guess. Do I trust, Jalen Hurts didn't play well last week, no matter how you slice it. They ran the ball effectively, but they're still struggling in the red zone. Cincinnati's not. Joe Burrow has only 2 picks all season. Joe Burrow is quietly having a very good season. And I don't know, man. I don't trust them really to be consistent. That's kind of my problem. And, when I look at Cincinnati, they have plenty of weapons. Their defense is getting better. And I think the one strong point to this defense is the defensive line. They're 12th in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game.
Yeah.
I think they bow their ears back. Throw in the number, Donnie. They're not pushing it up, right? Like I don't think you're going to see them push it up either. I think they'll end up getting probably decent money on both sides in this game long term. I think the public will probably take the Eagles. So, I like the Cincinnati at 2.5. I think they win this game. I think it's probably like a 27-21 type of game. Eagles will be in it, but I think they find a way, the Bengals, to get it done. I think they're the better team overall right now.
I think it's a jumpstart game for both of these teams, depending on which one wins. Yeah. Like if the Eagles win, I'm going to start buying into them much more. Like, okay, maybe the first part of the season wasn't there. They're getting healthy again. The defense is able to stop big-time offenses, but also Cincinnati, dead and buried. Like, the Eagles aren't world beaters, but you win that game. Now you're starting to get some momentum on your season to see what you can do. Jeff, I want to talk to you about Sunday Night Football. Dallas Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco beat to a pulp and injured right now. Dallas went absolutely filleted before they got their bye week by Detroit, who's a very good football team. They're catching 4.5 on the road on Sunday Night Football. Any looks in that game? Because it's going to get a lot of attention.
Yeah, I'm done with Brock Purdy. I mean, I'm done with this guy.
Man, wasn't he?
He stinks. And again, they're kind of a mass casualty unit, as you talked about. Listen, Donnie, God love him. I mean, he survived a gunshot wound and he's now playing. But when I hear people talk about Ricky Pearsall's back this week, it's like,
yeah, come on now.
You must not have a lot of weapons. It's ugly. I mean, Jordan Mason's been banged up. He hasn't been as effective. They're just kind of struggling right now. I don't think defensively they're as good as maybe we think either. Cowboys, as you alluded to, off a bye. You generally like backing teams off buys. I don't think there's any secret why this number is coming down. It opened 6.5. There's still some 5s out there. Now, again, the only 5 is at Circa, so I won't reference that. But you can still get some 4.5s. I think the Dallas Cowboys are a play here off of
me too.
Off of a bye. I like Dak. I know a lot of people don't, but he's still generally a pretty good quarterback in the regular season. It's a big game, banged up San Francisco group. And what are a lot of people going to say? San Francisco can't lose 2 in a row. No, they absolutely can. And I think what we'll notice here is the NFC is going to go through the NFC North, either Detroit or Minnesota.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agree.
100%.
I love that division, top to bottom. I really like Detroit. See if they make any moves here to get an extra defensive lineman as it comes down. Jeff, one more game I want to hit quickly here. 4:05 start, Buffalo and Seattle. Josh Allen, I like the Buffalo Bills now. I think they're a complete team. They got the running back, they got the quarterback, they got the wide receivers now. Just need to keep that defense as healthy as they can possibly be. They're a road favorite going into Seattle, which is always a tough spot here, Jeff. 67% of the tickets coming in on the Buffalo Bills. And as we said, that line opened up at 3. It has not moved at all. Is that something you're looking at here, or maybe a total aside? Any ideas here on Buffalo and Seattle for you?
Yeah, my first thought was over. I mean, Seattle played really fast. Buffalo's been terrific on offense. They're good in the red zone. I don't know if I totally trust them on defense. I mean, Seattle's defense is really maligned right now. I mean, they can't seem to get many stops. Their secondary has been kind of beat up. They did play pretty well last week. I'll give them credit. I liked the over last week. It was 47.5. It fell 48. Falcons didn't do much to help me there, but you see Seattle. They play a lot of high-scoring football games. I thought this total would be more like 50, 51. 47.5 I thought was pretty bearable here. Even 46 is out there, 46.5. So I kind of lean over. I think if Seattle obviously have a great crowd here. Maybe they'll get someone back in the secondary. I'm going to keep an eye on that. I'm not going to bet this just yet. This is a Buffalo barometer game too. This is always a tough road trip to make out to Seattle. You're probably a little bit more kind of your receivers that you just got. You're probably a little bit more copacetic with him chemistry-wise. So I like the over. I think both teams can move the ball. I want to see who's in for Seattle.
Another great money line, Jeff Nadu. Thanks for joining us today. We will see you back on Monday. Enjoy your weekend.
Just to clarify, we're not saying the winning edge will help you win the lottery.
But if it ever does, aren't you glad you're already here?
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.